I have a script I have to read. I know the story, but what happens is I will drift off into the weeds and I will tell you more stories that fill the next guy's half hour. So I don't know how to do this. I need the podium. Can we jerk that podium up here? That's better. Do I have to hold this thing? Well, I might have to. But with these glasses on, you don't know who I am. I'm just another normal gun dude face. But so let there be no mistake, you don't know who I am or what I am. If I put this hat on, you know I'm one of y'all. Okay? Now, I have to put my glasses on so I can read. But if you can't read my hat, it says, "Make America what?" Free again, with a gun on it.
That's right.
Got that? Okay. So, what I'd like to do, awesome. What I'd like to do, I gotta call home. Mom, I'm in sunny South, somewhere, but I don't see the sun. But folks, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna try to keep you energized. What I'd like to do is, when you come down to Kentucky, and I used to live here, but I don't know what your favorite yell is. What's the favorite yell in Kentucky?
Go Cats.
Go Cats. Okay. Do you ever go by the nickname Cats? No. Okay. How about this? I picked two that I thought might work universally. Okay. How about yay or wahoo? Okay. Let's take a vote. All in favor of yay, say yay. Yay. Okay. All in favor of wahoo, say wahoo. Wahoo. I think the yays have it. Okay. So I want to thank you for showing up today. Gosh, if you're patron enough to show up in this rain this morning and stay here when it's cold now, at the age of 78, I'm patriot enough to hang in here with you. Okay? Amen. I'm just glad I'm not getting rained on, but I'm trying to keep my voice from fading out.
Thank you, sir.
But thank you to We Are Kentucky Gun Owners.
I understand.
And the Gun Owners of America helped sponsor this rally. And I understand my friend Sean Maloney of Second Amendment, a Second Call Defense was here earlier today. I happened to be, when he started the company, he said, Dick Heller, here's my insurance company. And I said, I'm in. How much and where do I sign? He says, you're going to be policyholder number 1. And I said, think about that, dude. I said, you're the creator. Okay, you should be policyholder number 1. My name's Gun Dude. I should be policyholder number 2. So we switched. My membership number is now number 2. Okay? And by the way, could you all come in so I can see more of you? And I think you can hear better. I don't know how far my voice is carrying, and especially if it fades out. Okay? But special thank you. Now listen to this. To my friend here, Thomas Massey, your fabulous freedom rep, and get this, force multiplier for the Second Amendment in Washington, D.C., who fights for my rights also, Thomas Massey. So I left out the part, when I do this, you're supposed to yell all yay, okay? You'll hear that a few times, okay? So Dick Heller here, Supreme Court litigant recipient of that magnificent Justice Scalia Supreme Court decision, okay? And immediately after that, out on the steps of the Supreme Court, the mayor says, well, you have your guns, we have control. Well, I didn't know anything about politics then. I didn't know what was going on, but I said to myself, something bad just happened, okay? So they went back and they must have been ready for a defeat, because immediately they produced 16 challenges and hurdles that we had to jump through to be a gun owner. So immediately we filed court case Heller number 2. And it dragged on for a couple of years, so we split it off so that the hard ones we put into Heller court case number 3. And now, even as we speak, I'm not sure he mentioned it, I think he did, but we are in the process of creating Heller 4, 5, and 6 with this man right here, Thomas Massey. Yay! Love it. Okay, so today we're gathered here from all over the great old Kentucky home state of freedom, and for singleness of purpose, fighting future infringements. Okay, and there's 2 issues that I see. We know what gun registration is. That's a bad point. But number 1 is red flag laws, and number 2, confiscation even without red flag laws. Wow. Okay? So what I like to do is the governor in today? Where's the governor's office?
Probably right behind you.
Is he in today?
He's here.
Are they in session?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're in session.
Here's what I'd like to do. Let's give the new lefty governor a lesson in right of the people. Let's yell to him so that the media and the governor and everyone inside cannot ignore us. Okay? Let's yell it so they can hear us and not ignore us. You ready? The right of the people. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And I like to follow that up with better not be infringed. So you know why I'm here, Second Amendment, and Mr. Massey. Yay! But why was I so eager to come? Gosh, I'm 78. I come all the way from warmer climate and make a day trip down. But I think back about 60 years ago, Kentucky is dear to my heart. I bet that's a surprise to everybody. I was born in San Diego. We escaped California and ended up in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. Wow. Shepherdsville? People know Shepherdsville? Yeah. Gee, golly, it was like a two traffic light town when I lived there. It must be a big burg now, if everybody knows. Really? No, I have to go there one day. Okay, and then we moved to Okolona, a suburb of Louisville, where I almost graduated from Eastern High School. I was there in Louisville even when stationed WAKY. Does anybody know that? Yeah. Really? Okay. When their first day of business, they played for 24 hours. They played the Purple People Eater over and over on their first day for 24 hours straight. My 15-year-old brother and I were pretty tight back in those days of patriotism. And Stephen Foster's 1852 song, My Old Kentucky Home, was almost a pop song back then. They played it, you heard it 2 or 3 times a day on every station. As we were moving on as a military family, we told Mom we hoped we would hear that song as we were leaving. And sure enough, as we crossed the Ohio River Bridge, we heard "The sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home." Don't worry, you won't run into me at the Grammys. So, about my gunfight. It started about the time I can see about many of y'all's parents were born, 1976. I had just moved into the third world city of Washington, D.C., almost 200 years after the signing, almost 200 years to the day after the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And I bought my first firearm. I'd already been out of the military, so I knew about guns, but I bought my first one for myself. It was July of 1976. It was a Matt Dillon Gunsmoke. Y'all remember that? Western handgun. It was a buntline 9-shot 22 Magnum. And I like to say it has 80% of the horsepower of a Glock 9mm, but you can get 30 of them in a magazine. In October 76, 3 months later, the DC gun bans required that I exercise a couple of options. Number one, I could turn in my gun. Nah, just bought it. Number two, throw it in the dipsty dumpster ain't happening. Or number 3, register it and I could keep it. Didn't sound right. Register my gun, why? Well, they want to know where you live. Well, why would they want to know where I live? Well, there's only one reason. Starts with the C word, right? Confiscation, confiscation. Yes, ain't happening. So there must be a 4th option. We have a Second Amendment. There's got to be a way. So I spent the next 30 years he was talking about learning and networking, and I didn't know anything about the law or anything. Gosh, I drink beer, chase girls, drive Corvettes. So spent, but that's why it took so long. Okay? No, actually, when if you knew the whole story, you know there is a gun god because magic happened. Now, this next statement here, I spent 30 years learning and networking, and everyone said, "Oh no, it can't be done." We done it. So here's a little background. You want to hear about the Supreme Court action? Okay, I mean, it's exciting. From another perspective, it's exciting, okay, because you know things can happen, things can change, history can change. So for the background of the Supreme Court hearing, on March the 17th in 2008, 50 people are sleeping on this is the 17th, day before the hearing, 50 people are sleeping on the Supreme Court sidewalk to ensure that they get a good seat inside the house, where I met John and Colleen Lawson. I lived only 1 block from the Supreme Court at that time, so I hopped on my bike, and we knew people were sleeping over there. So I hopped on my bike, and incognito, I went by and said, "Hey, what's going on here? What are y'all rallying around here for? Why is everyone here?" And I got all these stories and everything, and they were really surprised the next day. So 3 months later, that magnificent Scalia decision declared that indeed D.C. had violated the Constitution and the spirit of the Second Amendment. Let's see, where are we here? And that magnificent Scalia decision declared that D.C. had violated the Constitution spirit and established that it is indeed a constitutional, enumerated individual right to keep and bear arms. So, yeehaw. That's what Alan West would say. Yeehaw. 10 minutes later, my attorney, Alan Gura, dropped a dime, and my friends, Dave and Colleen Lawson, and Otis and Laura McDonald versus Chicago had their case filed in federal court. 2 years later, Justice Alito delivered that decision, declaring that magnificent Scalia decision was incorporated or applied to all the states. Breathtaking. Wahoo! Yeehaw! Okay, now, in the Supreme Court, we know where Justice Thomas and Gorsuch and Kavanaugh stand, but we don't know a lot about the others. But let me educate you about how great our Supreme Court is right now. What about Justice Alito? Here is another opinion you might have heard about that I am absolutely in love with. Okay, has anyone ever heard about the Supreme Court case, Caetano versus Massachusetts stun gun? Yes. Okay, how many? Ooh, my gosh, I'm surprised. You impressed me. Okay, the Supreme Court case, the decision started like this. It said, the Second Amendment extends to all instruments that constitute bearable arms. Well, sounds reasonable to me, but it didn't go far enough. Justice Thomas and Justice Alito filed what's called a concurring opinion. And they said, A, the decision was given grudgingly. Interesting. Then they effectively said no weapon at all in defense of your life can be considered unconstitutional. And then thirdly, see, their final ideas in their decision was that, I love this, was that any state banning mere stun guns are more interested about disarming people than about keeping them safe. That was Massachusetts, okay? So authoritarians and the power mad do not care about your safety. Heck, just look at Virginia. They kill babies after they're born. Okay? So on the subject of national reciprocity, Carrie, I need reciprocal carry. Because I travel a lot and I travel all over the place and dare not carry on an airline because they're gunning for me. You can believe it. That's another story. Don't we all need reciprocal carry? Of course. Yes. Nationwide, like a driver's license? Yes. Yet, the driver's license seems to have superiority over our Second Amendment privileges. I got it backwards. Our driving license privilege seems to have superiority over our Second Amendment rights. So, in case you don't know it, your Second Amendment multiplier in Washington, Thomas Massey, and I are working on national reciprocity even as we speak. Just before we came down here, I presented him an idea that I'm running by my lawyers to address that on the state, from the state level, in addition to a congressional level. Now, I hope people really take this to heart. How many people know the name Shaneen Allen in Pennsylvania? Okay, as a couple, okay. Here's how not having national reciprocity can wreck your life. Take the case of nurse and mother of two and single Shaneen Allen. She was going from her job in Pennsylvania, she was going from her home in Pennsylvania to her job in Pennsylvania, and the highway traveled over a sliver of New Jersey. So she was pulled over by a state trooper for failure to use her turn signal because she was simply trying to get out of his way. The cop saw her gun in her purse. She showed him her CCL. But you have to understand, New Jersey dictators don't like out-of-state CCLs. So facing a mandatory 5 to 10 years in jail for a first offense in New Jersey, Shaneen spent 48 days away from her two babies in what I call New Jersey jail hell. Then she was pardoned by Governor Christie, and this was just a couple of years ago, and I don't carry in or through New Jersey. As far as I'm concerned, my attitude is, in New Jersey, they can just let the criminals do all the gun carrying if they want to. Okay, so check out the stormtroopers from Hamilton Barracks in New Jersey. Notice it's named after a founding father who invaded a citizen's home to seize his firearms. Why? Citizen Leonard's 13-year-old son just happened to tell a classmate, the security we have in this school sucks. So
that's true of most schools.
Yeah, but just saying it though, after 5 levels of hearsay, okay, he told his buddy, who told his mother, who told the teacher about the school, who told the principal, who called the stormtroopers. Full disclosure, I'm still arm-carrying cop on duty, okay? Sometimes that's what you have to call a spade a spade. The boy's actually doing the school a favor, and so you have to ask, just how egregious is this act? Well, I started thinking about it, and first off is they're violating the First Amendment because they're trying to control a 13-year-old's speech, even truthful speech, even helpful speech. Second, you have a right to keep and bear arms, so it's nobody's business. The Fourth Amendment, someone mentioned it earlier, you have, it happened with no warrant and no due process. So the Fourth Amendment says that we have the right to be secure in our home, on our person, our papers, and our stuff. Actually, it says things. Okay, so that's the fourth. They violated the Fifth Amendment. Don't self-incriminate. Don't tell people you have stuff. So why registering, we're telling people we have stuff. So we shouldn't register. So the Eighth Amendment, cruel seizure punishment. Ninth Amendment, intimidating and overzealous police and government violating all the above rights. And then there's the 10th Amendment, which is the 8th violation. When the state does violate the 9th Amendment, they're supposed to, the 10th Amendment says they're supposed to go back and review the 9th Amendment. So it's great that Kentucky just got concealed carry. You want to know what's going on in Soviet Maryland, which is headed this way?
No.
Okay. 2 weeks ago, on the 14th of January, House Bill number 4 criminalizes the wife if she uses one of her guns to defend herself against an intrusion. Wow. Now, to me, that's the epitome of government stupid. That's a safety issue? That's a problem? That should be legislated? I don't think so. But to them, of course it is. The Soviets and power mad just love dead bodies and criminals because it causes problems. So another one, now you have to help me with this. Senate Bill number 39 in Maryland criminalizes the possession of something called Anderson AM-15. Now, I thought it was a mistake, but I looked at the bill and it says Anderson AM-15. Does anybody know what that is?
A lower.
I don't.
Anderson lower.
Oh, okay. So in both .223 and .30 caliber, retroactively banned to October 2013. No grandfather, no compensation, just confiscation. Yes, and there's more, but that's enough for here. Our Second Amendment delivered its legal force on paper starting in England in the 1629 magnificent Magna Carta, and then in 1689 with the Englishman's Declaration of Rights for Englishmen, and then came our Constitution, and 10 years later came our Bill of Rights. Then in the 1900s, the elites and the judges in America started to ignore and abandon our Second Amendment rights. But I'm proud to say, and I know you're proud to hear, Kentuckians did not do that. We're the good guys. We're the patriots. The left, comrade Democrats, any occupiers in our state house here, they are the bad guys, the freedom stealers. I call them the body snatchers. That's what they create. Today is not Lexington or Concord Green, and we have all these guns and no shots are going to be fired, I know, because we're the good guys. But I would like to believe and hope that today will be known as Frankfort Green Patriots Day. Maybe we can make a historical landmark here. And it's a great kickoff day for supporting our great Second Amendment multiplier in Washington, Representative Massey. You're a great crowd. Okay, let me get back on track. I don't want to go into the weeds. Okay, Guns and Ammo Magazines ranks Kentucky as the, for firearm-friendly state, as being number 5. I know, I'd be right at home down here.
We need to step up our game then.
I don't know where I'd live, though. I'd have to think about that. Louisville? Maybe not.
Definitely not.
This is looking nice. Okay. So Kentucky is below the national average for violent crime. So I ask you, do we need gun control in Kentucky? No! Do we need more gun-free zones? No! Do we need gun-free zone schools? No! Thank you, thank you. The Democrats do. Can I say that? The left does. The Soviet power mad do, because it increases the body count, and body count creates conflict with everybody else. Maine is the safest state in America. They have constitutional carry, no government paperwork. Virginia is the 4th safest state. And now the comrade governor in Virginia, along with the House of Delegates and the Senate, they're all Democrat controlled now. And you all know what's going on there. And passing red flag laws, turn in your ARs and universal background checks, and there's more. It's a long list. So whoever, whenever you, any socialists and comrades and authoritarians and power mad get elected here in Kentucky or to Congress, get elected in Kentucky or Congress, Maryland and Virginia is what's going to happen to you next. So be vigilant.
Yeah.
Now, the comrade governor here will try to make Kentucky flip. So don't let Maryland, Virginia, Baltimore, Venezuela, Detroit, and Chirac, Chicago happen to you in Kentucky. Keep Thomas Massey in Washington. Bloomberg money is coming here. The question begs to be asked, who will the Democrats represent? Bloomberg or the Kentucky Constitution and freedom? I ask you again, do we need gun control? No! You want to yell them again about our rights? Okay. Let's yell them again so they can hear us. The right of the people to keep and bear arms better not be infringed. Great, great. Okay. Casting your vote, in my opinion, is the bare minimum of freedom and citizenship responsibility in America. We're fighting with AR-15s. They're fighting with tanks of Bloomberg money. Okay, be careful here in Kentucky. Dick Heller is still in the fight with you for freedom. And for the pyramid, for the Second Amendment in Washington, bigly support Representative Thomas Massey. Thank you, thank you. Take that.